Hey, this is John Chris.
Hey, this is John Muskillet.
What's going on, y'all? It's Dylan Chase and DJ Squared.
Hey, it's Carrie Job, and you're listening to Crossover Radio.
What's going on? It's your boy KB. You are listening to Radio with a Purpose.
Hey guys, it's Big J Mills. As wedding season approaches, you want to make sure that everything for your special day is perfect. Music is no exception. Well, that's where BTP Productions comes in. With over 25 years in the DJ business, BTP knows how to make a special day a memorable one. From lighting and sound packages to karaoke, BTP has you covered. And right now, to all of our crossover radio listeners, when you call 405-609-9980 and let us know that you heard this ad, we're going to knock $150 off your package price. So give us a call today at 405-609-9980 to book your event. Once again, that's 405-609-9980. Or check us out on Facebook at BTP Productions. The right music plus the right DJ equals BTP Productions.
Crossover Radio is the best station I have ever listened to, even over other Christian stations. They are such a blessing. God uses this radio station that God started through the DJs and everyone on there to bless us and to show us Him.
You know, sometimes in life, you just need your IQ level to shrink down to about the size of your shoe.
And that's where we come into play every Wednesday from 9 to 11 on the Dadcast.
Absolutely. You can catch us right here on Crossover Radio, the Crossover Radio app, the TuneIn Radio Network, and Facebook.com/The Crossover Radio.
And every so often on the 10 o'clock news.
Yeah, we won't talk about that. Stop stealing Ford trucks. That was you, right?
Yeah, that was me. I'm sorry.
Catch the Dadcast every Wednesday, Crossover Radio.
And you're back, Crossover Radio, Radio with a Purpose, and you've tuned in to the live show of what we like to call the OT, and you are listening to DB and
Big Nate.
Welcome to the number one rated radio show on
right
Crossover
off the bat
Radio.
with that.
Yeah, heck yeah, on Monday nights, 8 p.m. We're scheduled off at 9 p.m., but because our name is OT, which for those of you who don't follow sports, that means overtime. And we have a tendency to run over our allotment, Nate.
We do. We're allowed.
We're allowed. We've been kind of... Well, when you're in the number one rated show on Monday nights, you can do that.
That's right. When you got pull.
I've got a little, as I like to call it, juice. When you have a little bit of juice, you can pull that off. And,
Juice.
Yep. So here we are again. We managed to keep our job another week, Nate.
Whew.
I mean, you got 2 more radio shows to go yet if I get nailed off, so or something
Well,
like that.
I got one, yeah.
Well, yeah, kind of.
Why?
Well, I mean, you're into everything else.
Well,
so.
yeah, that's what happens when you're the program director. You just stay busy.
Oh, now he's going to start sticking his chest out. I'm the program director.
Well, you know.
It is what it is, right, Nate?
Toot.
Yep.
No, I'm just kidding.
So welcome, everybody, back to our show. If it's your first time tuning in, this is a little bit different format than probably what you're used to hearing. We are not political too much in nature.
Please no.
Yes, but we are sports-minded, and we have an interesting concept here. We like to cover sports, but we also are geared towards the mentoring aspect. So our genre, if you will, is mentoring and sports-related topics. And coming up here in a little bit, you might just hear a little bit more about that. But before we do that, we've got a little bit of heavy heart today. Our good friend Kevin Foster just found out last night or early this morning, yesterday morning, I guess, was his nephew is the victim of the drowning at Thunderbird over the weekend. If you've paid attention to the news, They've been looking for a couple of people have been missing in a boating accident out there on the lake. I guess it was late Saturday night, early Sunday morning. And his name is Cody Foster, 26 years old, just recently married. They have not been able to find him yet. His friend Brandon was recovered late this afternoon. And that's about all the details I have. But our prayers and thoughts and wishes are out to all of the Foster family.
Definitely.
Kevin's brother, Matt, it's his son that they have lost. And it's got to be a rough time. I can't even imagine. And certainly I've had, and I haven't, mentioned, or I have mentioned on this program, and this makes 12, I guess. 12 people since December 7th that we've either lost a family member or, and I guess I'm probably
some way connected
somehow. Somebody either knew that we're close to family, or a granddaughter, a brother or sister, or a best friend or something that we know well.
Mm-hmm.
Not just somebody else say, hey, I know that person from 20 years ago. And these are people that we know or talk to personally, most of them. And I know Kevin's he's having a hard time. I know his brother's having a hard time, and a lot going on in a Foster household with 3 kids graduating this week too.
Yeah.
Which, trying to, on a happier note, Team Black Mentorship, Big Dog, Big Daddy Jacob Foster, the son of Kevin, graduated from Putnam West this weekend.
Nice.
Yay! So. And he's got 2 more to go. The twins get married. Oh,
no, whoa.
Kevin will kill me. Graduating this Saturday from Moore High School.
Yeah.
A big shout out to Lexi,
who we've had on the show.
She's been a guest and lifted in her first powerlifting meet a few weeks back. And her twin brother, Alex, who has appeared in, I believe, 3 different of our events in our meets. And so anyway, congratulations to the graduates. I know that they're excited and look forward to seeing where their future lies. I know that Jacob's headed to OU, and Lexi has a scholarship to go just about wherever she wants to. Initially it was going to be OBU. She may rethink that and go to OU. She may go to Southwest Christian. I mean, there's a ton of opportunities she has. She's a pretty smart whippersnapper.
Yes.
So,
sometimes too smart for her own good.
Yeah, she's got a little bit of moxie and savvy in her.
Yes, she does.
Yeah, it's fun to be around, though. She's a joy. So, Nate, tell me what's going on in the NBA playoffs, because I've been a little bit disconnected. I know it's 2-1, but I don't really know who's 2 and who's 1, so help me out.
Well, right now, in the Celtics and the Cavaliers, Celtics are up 2-1, but the last game, Cavaliers won. And they won pretty well. I mean, it wasn't like as dominating as the other series, but
did LeBron show up for this one?
LeBron showed up for this one, yeah. So when LeBron shows up, they win. What I've said before is I don't think he can. Man, I thought if he could hold out, they'd win it in 7, but I'm beginning to wonder. I think that youth of Boston is.
It's going to wear him down.
It's his age is starting to show. He's been strong throughout the season, but his age is catching up to him, and it's a bad time for it to happen. So I think Boston's got a real good shot.
There's a reason they started 0-2 is because LeBron was still taking a nap.
Yeah.
I mean, he was tired from. Didn't the last one go
series,
7?
Yeah. No. Ended up going, I think 4, maybe 5.
I thought it went 7.
But it was a tough series. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they weren't like runaway games. So, and then as far as the Warriors go, Steph Curry woke up. I don't know if he's finally healthy now that ankle's not bothering him, but he went off and they ended up winning by 41.
Holy moose cow!
41.
That's a lot of points.
That's the worst loss that Houston has had in 32 years. It's like 19. Oh, what did they say? 80 or 90 something?
Couldn't happen to a nicer guy. I think we said last week.
I don't care for either one of them.
I don't either. So, it's kind of like, we don't care who wins as long as it's 0-0.
It's like voting in politics.
Something like that.
pick the lesser of two evils, I guess. So
you can go that route, I guess. So do you? Obviously, I don't see. I don't see Houston be able to overcome Golden State.
No, I think Golden State was. They lost that one game, and then they said, okay,
that's enough of that.
Yeah.
But on the other side, you think Boston might do
I think
it?
Boston's got a shot, but then again, the point is mute. I think they get to the finals. If they get to the finals, then they just get demolished through the wrecking train that is Golden State.
That's extremely unfortunate.
Yeah.
That it's like college football. It's got the same team every year. College basketball, you got the same 4 teams just about every year. But this kind of exercises my theory a little bit. Now, not full blown, because you may remember a few weeks back I said that usually championships, or let's say not necessarily championships, but playing in championships, go with cities. Remember when I said that a few weeks ago? So who won the World Series last year? Houston Astros.
Yes, they did.
So either the Houston Rockets or the Houston Texans are looking at a championship game somewhere, based on my theory.
I don't think either one of them are going to happen.
Okay, so who was in the Super Bowl last year?
I don't remember, to be honest. Isn't that bad?
Well, it was New England and Philadelphia.
Oh, that's right.
So,
oh my goodness, that's pathetic.
So, who has the possibility of playing the NBA championship? Boston Celtics.
Yeah.
Boston, New England, right? See,
I see
my
your
theory?
logic. I see your logic.
Okay, see, I'm telling you, there's some merit
so
to it.
I can see that. The Houston connection, I don't see what's going to happen.
I mean, but it's possible.
Yeah.
They're in the Final Four. If you want to go,
they've got better odds than Oklahoma City does.
They do.
Ouch.
Or better odds than Oklahoma State. But who do you compare that to?
Well,
Dallas.
Oklahoma City got worse now too because they lost Mr. Oklahoma.
Did they lose?
Mr. Thunder. He retired. Nick Collison.
Oh yeah, that's going to cause a setback.
Give him a chair, permanent chair at the end of the bench.
Assistant coach, Coach Collison.
Wouldn't surprise me if that's where he ends up. So,
well, I said last week on the show the best thing could happen in the NBA would be Houston and Celtics. That way, at least you got somebody new, somebody different.
Yeah, at least get half of it.
But I don't think, and it will help a little bit that the Celtics in there because they're, nationwide they have a fairly decent following. Although nobody remembers who Larry Bird is or.
It's unfortunate. I think the most exciting part of the NBA now is free agency. It's what happens over the summer. You pretty much know who at least 2 of the finals teams are going to be. And most likely, one of them is going to be the not the national champion, the champion,
NBA champion.
Yeah, it's what's curious is you have all these free agencies, big time free agencies that are ending up, Paul George. You've got from Cleveland. Who knows? Who knows going to do what? Who? I don't think he's going to stay in Cleveland. So, we'll see.
I mean, he'd be crazy to stay in Cleveland. He's done everything he could do there.
If they win. I mean, that's the only thing that could help, but I don't think that even's going to do it because I don't think they can keep anybody around him.
So they just won 1, Cleveland?
Cleveland won 1, yeah.
Okay, and that's more than they'd won in that city in any sport, and since the Browns won, I think. So, been a long time.
Well, I mean, you had the Indians of...
They haven't won nothing, though.
World Series.
When?
90... I think they won one over.
I don't think they have. I think they played in one.
My wife would kill me.
I think
they played in
one.
numerous. I mean, they played against New York. They played against Atlanta.
They have to Google it up. Google it up. Because if I remember, what happened there?
I don't know.
If I remember that was the first championship in Cleveland in like 60 years or something. So maybe my information is correct. I'm talking about in any sport. Any sport. So anyway,
maybe we'll look that up.
We'll look it up. All right, Nate, let's take a time out.
Okay.
Crossover Radio with a purpose. You're tuned in on this special Monday night session. Well, I don't know if you call it special because we're here every Monday night, but you are here on Monday night with the #1 rated show on Crossover Radio. the OT.
On Monday evenings.
Yeah, Monday night, yeah. I say Monday night. I definitely don't have the number one show on Monday. Well, I might. I don't know. We might. But Crossover Radio, Radio with a Purpose, OT with DBN.
Big Nate.
Be right back.
Hey guys, it's Jay Mills.
And Coach Coleman.
Hey, don't forget to check me out every Tuesday night, 7 to 9 p.m. right here on the Crossover for Freestyle.
And then I'm also live every single weekday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. on the Brunch Rush. Crossover Radio.
Radio with a purpose.
Razorback Lawn and Tree Care has you covered for all of your outdoor needs. We offer affordable landscaping, tree trimming and removal, as well as regular lawn care. Call us today at 405-202-5140 and let us help you go hog wild over your yard. Man, I tell you what, I was hanging out with Robbie Allen today, and he ran out of Grounds for Compassion coffee. Robbie, what was it like to run out of Grounds for Compassion?
That was the most humiliating experience of my life.
And Robbie, with Grounds for Compassion, we feel it's probably the best coffee in the world, wouldn't you say?
Very impressive.
You mean in the world, right?
Yes, sir.
And when other people tell you that Grounds for Compassion isn't as good as their coffee, what do you tell them?
Beg pardon?
So it sounds to me like you're going to need a little bit more Grounds for Compassion since you ran out there, Robbie.
Don't we all?
So if you want to order any Grounds for Compassion coffee, check them out at g4c.coffee. That's g4c.coffee. Hey, Robbie, shouldn't you be writing this down?
Photographic memory.
Well, that's good to know, Robbie. Hey, I tell you what, check out Grounds for Compassion. Again, that website, g4c.coffee. Grounds for Compassion. Coffee with conviction.
Good evening. Welcome back to Crossover Radio. You're listening to the OT with DB and Big Nate. I'm Big Nate. Over to my left, on your cameras, probably to your right, is DB. So, hey, I wanted to tell you quickly about some shows and some ways that you can listen to those shows. You can download our app, go to your Google Play, your iTunes. You can listen to us on Intune Network. You can check us out on Facebook by going to the Crossover Radio Facebook page. We happen to be live, and you can watch us there. You can go to crossoverradio.org and listen in from there. So there's numerous ways that you can listen to the station. And there's a couple shows I want to plug. How about The Story? Tune into The Story every Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday with Pastor Nick Tarter from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m., where he looks into the Bible, current news stories, cultural trends, theology, and philosophy to show people that all of our stories ultimately point us to Jesus. That's a great show.
I've heard that a couple of times.
Last night happened to be Ryan and Philip's Conversation Rules.
How'd that go?
It went good.
Yeah.
Well, there was. You're thinking of something separate. The event was separate. We had a Senate District 30 debate.
That's what I was.
That went very well.
Yeah.
And then Ryan and Philip's Conversation Rules were on after that. Their show is on Sunday nights from 8 to 9. So those are some great shows.
Yep. We used to follow them, and then
they
decided they didn't want that kind of talent after them, so we got moved to
Yeah, I'm sure that's what it was. That's what it was.
Love you, Phil and Brian. Love you.
So, every once in a while you hear us talk about Team Black Mentorship on our show. We'll mention them, or we'll mention somebody from Team Black Mentorship. And I just thought maybe tonight that we could explain a little more what that's about for people that don't know or haven't heard. Does that sound good to you?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
Let's go.
Let's talk about it.
Okay,
so what is Team Black? When did the whole thought process of Team Black start?
Well, it depends on, you want to talk about when we put the wheels in motion to start it, or what gave me the idea and how did it all develop? I mean, let's go the long version first, because I rarely tell that story. I was an athletic trainer in high school, and I wasn't very athletic. I could run fast, and I was evasive, but I was small, so that kind of hampered me. So I became a trainer. And I noticed right away that athletes who didn't try very hard weren't very good. And one thing somebody told me one time, this was back when I was like 8 years old, man, if everybody tried as hard as you would, we'd be all superstars. And I thought, well, wow. So I always just tried harder.
So you're like a Rudy.
Yeah, a little bit. Kind of had that Rudy mentality, and I noticed that in high school, and I noticed it in college, and I noticed it when I got into the workforce, and I started just noticing how people don't develop themselves and how they can't get out of their own way is a term I like to use. So I always wanted to try to help people who were like that, and in 1994 I got into sales, and that's kind of a long story on how that happened, and I want to just kind of get past it. But I got out of sales. I was very successful in it. I had about a 12-year career, and somebody mentioned to me how I needed to take those kind of skills and teach it in a different workforce. So God led me to leave the job I was in and led me to the job that I'm in similar now. And what happened is I started noticing young people, and I'm talking 16 years and older, that were lacking direction, discipline, thirsting for some sort of structure in their life. And it took me a few years to develop young people. And about 7 years ago, one of my very best friends unexpectedly died. And when he died, went to memorial service in Dallas, Texas, and started listening to all the accounts of the people who he had mentored. And it was very humbling to me because he had never said a word about it, not to me, not to his family, not to his sister, to no one. No one knew about it. All of a sudden, all these people had this common denomination, which was Shelby Jones, which was this person's name, and how he humbly helped them and developed them. So that's kind of where the thought process began. I mean, I'm sure we'll get in a little bit more on just how it initially started, but that's what put the process in motion.
So he's kind of the guy that inspired you to get it all.
It was. And
is there anybody else that inspired you as well?
Yeah, I mean
after that,
during that process, probably just in that, because if you go back in time and listen to some analogies of people who were developed and who, Jesus obviously one of them, but Joseph being another one, how the process in his life built him up to one moment. And my wife and I did not have any children, and we didn't have anybody that we can pass wisdom on to, because generally when you raise kids and grandkids, you pass wisdom on your life experiences. So I've had an incredible amount of a blessing of people who have guided me along the way, who have passed wisdom on to me. And one person I will name and mention is a local businessman here in Oklahoma City. He no longer lives here, but his name is Dan Van Zant, and he started a company here about 1996. I worked with him in a different company. He hired me and trained me and passed on his business and personal wisdom on to me. And that's who I contribute to a lot of the successes I have had. When he started his company, I was the first person he asked to come along with him. We developed this two-people company into an $8 million a year company, just through hard work and doing the right thing and having good ethical practices and working, having an accountability factor. So I would have to say Dan helped me with that. Obviously, my mom and dad along the way. My dad was just a hard-working guy, always believed in doing the right thing. My mom, taught Sunday school class for 40 years, and she had a lot of that development process. I can think of coaches along the way, too many to probably mention. Since that time, there have been a lot of people that have walked into my life that I met that's helped us through Team Black Mentorship. So
it's kind of like the mentoring that you received is what inspired you to do it.
I believe it is. I think that had a lot to do with it. Just the people were gracious enough to take their time and talent and pass them on to me. and then me through the years trying to get more into I think I saw things from afar and wondered, why can't this person be better than they are? I never could understand how somebody could run a 100-meter dash in less than 10 seconds, but couldn't stay out of the bars or couldn't keep from stealing to keep themselves out of trouble to get through college and get a professional contract somewhere. I just never could understand what is the thought process behind that. So some of it is a psychological process, some of it's spiritual, some of it is just making the right decision. So in seeing that and watching that, I wanted to pass that on to people, and kids mainly. It's never limited to kids. I've had some people in their 60s and 70s who I don't want to say look up to me. I would just say I passed wisdom on that I think they gained from.
So, okay, we've got the process of kind of how you were thinking about getting this going. Mm-hmm. Who kicked this off? Who did you kick this off with?
Well, initially we started training in a local gym here in Oklahoma City. I've been coaching powerlifting for 25 years of my life, and we were training Kevin Foster. I was training Kevin Foster and Quinn Woolridge. Both have been guests here on the show. They are my co-founders. They helped me kick this thing off. But what initially started was at our church, we'd recently had a new youth pastor, and a lot of kids, there's 60 kids, and having a little bit of difficulty with control, and they were a little bit out of hand. And I got this idea. Well, she asked me if I had any ideas, and I said, let me get back to you. So I went and talked to Kevin and Quinn about something we could do. So what we came up with is to do an exhibition with some of the skill sets that we have as weightlifters and powerlifters, and then at the same time bring in speakers. And what we did is we had, I think, 5 different speakers that spent about 5 minutes apiece, just giving a little bit of wisdom that they had learned along the way. One was is now a master sergeant, Oklahoma City Police Department. He was one of the first people on the scene, the Murrah building bombing in 1996. He gave his experiences. I have a friend of mine who I grew up with in a small town in Texas that we had actually separated for about 35 years just through moving across state lines and things like that we reconnected, and he actually had something similar going on in his life. He's a professional leadership coach. So he came down, he drove down from Dallas on basically 24 hours notice and gave about a 5-minute inspiring speech to the kids. And all that's on video, by the way. It's really good. One of these days I need to replay it on our website. But it's incredible. Kevin gave his testimony. Chris Tricolo's another guy. He lost his son tragically at a young age. Those things, try to reach the kids. And that was our first one. And then we kind of discovered that, hey, this thing kind of works. Mm-hmm. So after we did it, I had a few people approach me and says, I'd kind of like to be a part of the next one we do. And so we went another round about a few months later. And we have tried to do these live events every 6 months or so.
Okay.
We've done 10 of them so far over the last 5 years. By the way, April was our 5-year anniversary. So in the live event spectrum of this, that's kind of what kicked off where we started as Team Black Ministries, and then we felt like to reach a broader audience, we officially changed our name to Team Black Mentorship, but it's under the umbrella of Team Black Ministries, which falls along Team Black Powerlifting and Evolved Champions Training Center. They're all connected and treed towards Team Black Ministry.
Okay, so you mentioned that. You mentioned the powerlifting and the live event. So tell us a little bit about that. What is each thing, and how do you use it in that?
Okay, well, we on Saturday mornings from 9 to noonish, we get together. We have a corporate partnership with a business here in Oklahoma City. We meet downtown, and we spend time in powerlifting. I was a competitive powerlifting for 25 years. Kevin competes. Quinn competes. We have some other people that I've been working with over the last 5 to 10 years that help us execute some of the things that we teach. And we have a very simple philosophy. Form is first. We teach proper form and technique. And if you think about it, that's the way life is. You have to do the right thing. And I know sometimes I get a little bit tied up in the wording of trying to process what I'm trying to get across. But if you show up on Saturday mornings and you see, teaching someone who has an incorrect form and incorrect technique, and you see them suffer, they're not going to be successful.
Yeah.
So we teach that to have proper form and technique and not worry about how strong you're getting. And we spend several weeks, instilling that. And one of the things that I've picked up along the way is kind of my own wording, and I've taken from different things that I've heard people say. But when you become tired and fatigued, you default back to bad habits. It's kind of similar to, what do we do when no one's looking? Well, we default back to our true character when no one is looking. So what we try to do is to reculture that or to relearn it. So better form, better technique, and we practice that over and over again until the point where your brain automatically does the right thing and your body automatically does the right thing. And most of our stuff is scripturally based. I mean, we tie that in to doing the right thing. And we have 3 basic principles, and we don't waver from those. And this goes along with what we teach in our live events, and this is what we teach on Saturday mornings. The first one is accountability. The second one is work ethic, and the third one is honesty. And I would like to go into a little bit more detail on that if we have the time here in a bit. But those 3 things incorporate what we're all about, and it never wavers from that. Our scripture, our life scripture, our theme is Proverbs 27:17, and we believe that as a group and as a whole, if you get together and you hold each other to these 3 standards, that iron will sharpen iron as one friend sharpens another.
Yeah. So in the live events, do you guys charge?
No,
a fee or an admission?
No, we don't. It's a free event. Our live events, which trying a second part of answering your question that you asked me a couple of minutes ago, the difference between from what we do on the mentoring aspect of it, one-on-one, and the second part is the live events. We do not charge a fee. We never have an admission charge. We don't charge a fee at Team Black Mentorship as far as the training aspect. It involves Champions Training Center, which is where we do the powerlifting. We don't have a membership charge. I don't charge a training fee. I know there are a lot of private trainers, personal trainers here in Oklahoma City get sometimes as much as $50 an hour. I've never at one point in time ever assessed a charge to anyone for doing this. I will accept private donations to our nonprofit, which I'll tell you about here in a minute. But I don't charge a fee, and we don't charge admission for these events. We generally have them at a venue who will host us, who's gracious enough to allow us to come in and do what we do. Some of them have been at local churches. Some of them have been at parks. We've done them at a couple of. We've done an OBU at their chapel service at Shawnee. We've also done. We've done them at Southwest Christian University. So we've used a number
quite
of
the
different
spectrum.
Yeah, I mean we've been very versatile. We Fellowship of Christian Athletes we did a couple of years ago in Hinton, Oklahoma. So we're not limited to any venue. I mean, we'll go wherever people will have us and where God leads us, where we feel like He's leading us to. So, no, we don't charge a fee or admission. And in fact, what we try to do in a lot of our live events is we have donors who will donate prizes, gift cards. We've given away iPads and tablets, T-shirts, armbands. We've had some businesses donate gift cards to local restaurants. So it's a wide variety of spectrums, but no, we don't charge.
I'll tell you what, Dan, let's take a short break,
Okay.
pay some bills, because, we got to do that here on the station. And when we come back, we'll talk about some of the accomplishments that Team Black has had. Sound good?
Yep, I'm good.
All right, so you've been listening to Crossover Radio. It's the OT with
DB
and Big Nate. See, I switched it up on you
did.
there. We'll be back in a couple minutes.
New Covenant Fellowship is a fresh expression of the Church of Jesus Christ right here in Bethany. We are the proud home of Crossover Radio, located at 6736 Northwest 39th Expressway. We meet on Sunday mornings at 10:45 a.m. for community worship celebration, and on Wednesday nights at 7 o'clock p.m. for fellowship and Bible studies for all ages. We are a church where you can belong even while you're still becoming who you were created to be in Jesus Christ. You can find out more about our church by visiting newcovenantokc.org or find us on Facebook. And if you can't join us in person, you can join us right here every Sunday morning at 10:45 a.m. on Crossover Radio.
Are you a local business or ministry? Are you looking to advertise on a station that's passionate about your community and safe for the whole family? Crossover Radio is currently seeking like-minded partners to help support their cause while we support yours. From commercial packages, show branding, and live remotes, we have what your business needs to get to the next level. Our mission is to bring impacting content through a Christian worldview, and we need your support. All donations made to Crossover Radio are 100% tax deductible, so why wait? Call us today at 405-494-0234. Again, that number is 405-494-0234. Crossover Radio. Radio with a purpose.
Hi, this is Kelly, and I'm the Creative Director at West Metro Community Church. At West Metro, we hold strong to our core values of Jesus, mercy, family, and authenticity. I would like to personally invite you to join us at West Metro this Sunday morning at 10:45 for worship. You can get more information about us on our website at westmetro.org or find us on Facebook. We are located at 601 West Main Street in Yukon. Come join us and I'll save you a seat.
Hey guys, it's Big J Mills. As wedding season approaches, you want to make sure that everything for your special day is perfect. Music is no exception. Well, that's where BTP Productions comes in. With over 25 years in the DJ business, BTP knows how to make a special day a memorable one. From lighting and sound packages to karaoke, BTP has you covered. And right now, to all of our Crossover Radio listeners, when you call 405-609-9980 and let us know that you heard this ad, we're going to knock $150 off your package price. So give us a call today at 405-609-9980 to book your event. Once again, that's 405-609-9980. Or check us out on Facebook at BTP Productions. The right music plus the right DJ equals BTP Productions.
Crossover Radio is the best station I have ever listened to, even over other Christian stations. They are such a blessing. God uses this radio station that God started through the DJs and everyone on there to bless us and to show us Him.
You know, sometimes in life, you just need your IQ level to shrink down to about the size of your shoe.
And that's where we come into play every Wednesday from 9 to 11 on the Dadcast.
Absolutely. You can catch us right here on Crossover Radio, the Crossover Radio app, the TuneIn Radio Network, and Facebook.com/The Crossover Radio.
And every so often on the 10 o'clock news.
Yeah, we won't talk about that. Stop stealing Ford trucks. That was you, right?
Yeah, that was me. I'm sorry.
Catch the Dadcast every Wednesday, Crossover Radio.
And you're back. Crossover Radio. It's the OT with DB and Big Nate. So let's get right back into the questions. Tell us about some of the approach and the principles that you formed with with Team Black.
Well, Crossover Radio is definitely a big contributor to this, but we'll get to those here in a minute. But as I mentioned earlier, there's three principles, and I was at a worldwide rally this past week for my job, and they wheeled us into this area where one of the executives of the company gave this gave a real inspiring speech, and he had 12 approaches to the success, but it was kind of funny. It was more of an elaborate portion of the 3 that we have.
Mm-hmm.
It was just broke into 12 different parts. But it's kind of funny. One of the guys is sitting next to me who works under me, and he looked over at me and goes, sounds awfully familiar. I says, yeah, it's the same thing I've been trying to teach you for the last 6 months. He says, now you see I'm just not completely full of it, that this is not rocket science.
Yeah. And
it isn't. And obviously I mentioned the 3 principles. The first one being accountability, and I believe that and this is something that a lot of people have a hard time with, not only in sports but in business, is they have to understand how important they are, how important they are to their family, how important they are to their coworkers, and the accountability has a lot to do with the ones that are around you than it does yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Because if someone is having a rough day and they come to work, being all moany and in a bad mood and complaining, they're spreading that to other people, and it has an effect on them. And that is the portion of the accountability I'm talking about. We have at least one individual in our group on Saturdays that if that person comes in a little bit of a sour mood, it sets a bad tone.
Mm-hmm.
And that person's gotten a lot better at it over the last 6 months or so, but it's all over that person. You can see it, you can feel it, and that accountability thing goes a long way. And yeah, it's important for you to show up and do the work, but it's more important for your coworkers to see you show up and do the work, because they're going to hold you to a standard, and you're going to hold them to a standard. And that's the part of the accountability that sometimes I have difficulty reaching and getting people to understand. And then that falls along with work ethic. Let's just face it. This life is comes across where we have to do more than what we're getting paid for. It's just part of it. It's the way people think today. And unfortunately, that's only a small portion of people in the workforce. They think, well, I'm not going to do any more work than the guy next to me. So they have poor work ethic. I believe it's your responsibility to go beyond what you're getting paid for. Now, if you're getting paid for it and you're getting paid handsomely for it, then more power to you. But my point is you can't be worried and get caught up in how much someone else around you is getting paid, or I'm not getting paid because I'm doing the work of 2 or 3 people. In my work, if you're doing the work of 2 or 3 people and someone's not going to pull up their responsibilities, then a couple of things are going to happen. Number one is you're going to get a raise, and the second thing is that person's not going to be around much longer. But it's kind of funny, when everybody starts working together and has good, solid work ethic, you'll weed out the bad apples, and everybody will get along, and everybody wants to be a part of that. So work ethic is critical.
Ryan Ballard is listening in, and he commented, "True strength is defined by the spirits you lift."
There you go. And that's a good friend of ours out in Hinton, Oklahoma. And Ryan is a multi-world champion, world record holder, and he understands what hard work and commitment's all about.
Yep.
And he gets that process. Now, I'm going to call Ryan out. Sometimes his process is not. We're not on the same path at times, but I'm getting him way to my line of thinking. Ryan believes you have to go 190% all the time.
He's an energetic man.
I want him to have that attitude. I just don't want his body to be put through that kind of enduring process. But he's, if I had 10 guys like Ryan or 10 guys like Kevin, and the way they come with a mentality that they're going to do their best every day, then we're going to have successes. I'm going to have it in business. I'm going to have it in our mentoring program.
Yeah.
And it certainly makes a difference, and it rubs off, and it's contagious. And that's what we try to do in live events. We try to rub that off on people to see where they can get. And the last leg of the principles, and probably the most important one, is just being honest. Example: if you make a mistake, admit it. If you're confronted about a mistake you made, don't deny it. Own up to it. And if you're struggling, go to somebody that you're working with and tell them you're struggling, or a coworker you're struggling. Trust me, it is a lot better than faking it till you make it, because sometimes you just don't make it. Some people deny till you die. And I'm telling you, that deniability thing is an approach that will catch up with you eventually. You just can't keep being dishonest. And you can learn from mistakes. I mean, you go back and look at the people that made mistakes through their life, they're the most successful. I mean, I know this goes way back, but Abraham Lincoln lost like 8 elections before he was elected president. If he'd have given up after 1 or 2 of those, we'd have lost one of the greatest leaders our country's ever known, the world's ever known. So you got to be honest about failures. And that's another thing, too. We get into the principles, and we're talking about this, Nate, is don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to lose.
Yeah.
I try to train people to have success, and some of you never really realize it, the ones that train around us, sometimes I'm going to allow you to fail because I want you to know what it's like, so that when you are victorious, you don't want to go to the other side. You don't want you don't want to feel that losing process.
So let's kind of get into some of the fun stuff about Team Black. Tell us about some of the accomplishments and some of the best moments you've had with Team Black.
Well, from the competitive standpoint, 2015 we finally put together a full powerlifting team that we took to the World Cup Championships in Oklahoma City, and we came away with our first ever team trophy. We won that World Cup as a team. And we had, I don't remember, 7 kids lifting in that event. We had some adults as well. But that probably, if I look at one thing that stands out as an accomplishment as far as the competitive aspect, that is probably the most of the accomplishments that I see. From the live events, it's when we have an altar call, or we ask someone if they've made a commitment to Christ. We've had that happen on several occasions. That's why we're doing this. I mean, this is to change people's lives, and those are the things that I look things I'm proudest of the most. There are some people. We've done these where we've had as many as little as 60 people, which is probably our first one, and we've had them almost up to 1,000 when we did a chapel service out at OBU, and you just never know what lives you reach or touch. But I think the anticipation of being able to reach someone that you see excel, even though if you don't know about it, is very rewarding. I had a kid that worked for me, it's been almost 10 years ago, and he was struggling in his life. He'd been in trouble with the law, and he was on probation. And the deputy showed up one day at work to take him to his PO, and I said, "Hey, can I talk to the PO before you take him?" And so I got him on the phone, and I said, "Look, hey, can I bring him in myself? I'll vouch for him. I'll get him there. You can, And long story short, he let me bring him. And then while I was going down there, he started revealing to me, his grandpa was a preacher. Maybe his dad was a preacher as well. It's been many years ago. So I started quoting some scripture to him, and almost immediately he felt relaxed enough that when we got to his PO, he allowed me to set in on a situation where he was about ready to go back to jail. And I convinced the PO, hey, let me vouch for this guy. Let me work with him. Let me see if I can help him. I said, he's got to be willing to help himself, but let me see what I can do. And he actually flunked the drug test that day, and they let him go. He worked with me for probably another year. He got kind of off the path. I couldn't help him. But we were doing an event over at Southwest Christian about 5 years after that happened. And we had our kids doing an exhibition over there, and we were doing like a challenge day. And this guy comes walking in. And he said, I was walking by outside, and he said, I heard a familiar voice. And he said, I gravitated towards that voice. He was listening to me because he'd heard that voice before. And and this is funny how this is, he was now playing basketball for Quinn Woolridge at Southwest Christian University.
Oh.
He had gotten his life in order. And, when it actually ended up playing his first college basketball game at like 20-something years old.
Wow.
Maybe he was in his 30s. I can't remember. He was definitely, older than a college-age student, but he got to play in a basketball game, which was his lifelong dream, just playing a college basketball game. And he told me, he says, I remember those things you told me. He said, it didn't all sink in at the time, but I remember those things. And he ends up getting a degree. There's something that that the things that I believe in, which are not me, trust me, it's all God's work.
Mhm.
But the people that have taught me, that I've tried to pass on to people. So I guess if I had to pick one person that I've seen impact and change in, that if God hadn't have said, hey, you're doing the right thing, just keep doing what you're doing, I think that motivated me. So as far as just an accomplishment that I think back on, that has to be one of them.
So you've had to have faced struggles and setbacks throughout the process. Tell us about some of those and maybe how they've helped you advance.
Well, one of the biggest challenges that we're dealing with is probably finances, because we have not, for the most part, tried to solicit money to keep us going, and we don't have a huge budget. I mean, most of the things that we do are to take kids into these powerlifting meets. Our goal is to be able to fund every lifter, especially somebody who hasn't reached the age of 18, their entry fee and their membership fee at the powerlifting events. We would like to be able to fund that. We have done that for some of our lifters that who are struggling more financially, but we're not equipped to be able to do that yet. But I think the biggest thing is to let people know. They think we're trying to recruit people to gain profit. And I've been asked several questions, especially in the last year. Are you doing this to try to recruit people for your training program? I said, yes and no. I mean, if you're asking me the question, am I trying to do it to gain monetarily? No. But if I'm doing it to try to reach people, yes, I am. So that perception is anytime you have a website and you start promoting something and you're wanting to put on an event, people think you're looking for money, that you're going to charge a fee and you're going to, the event's going to be something you're going to gain from it. So last year we had a setback. It put us back about a year because we had an arrangement that just didn't work out well for us financially. We lost almost $1,000 on it. We recovered from it because we pay our bills, and we've had some contributions from some people that have been extremely gracious, that have done it with just the kindness of their heart and believe at what we're doing. Let me get off of that for a second. Before we close out, I'd like to you talked about the people that inspired you along the way, and do we have a minute to go into that for a second?
Yeah.
Okay. So if I think of one instance where this thing might have never kicked off, I have to think back to 2006. I was coaching at the AAU versus NASA in a team challenge powerlifting event here in Oklahoma City. I was a head coach. Well, one of those lifters who I did not know personally was Kevin Foster. He was one of the ones on my team that I knew who Kevin was, but I never met him. I never talked to him. And also at that event who was witnessing the event and lifted in a couple of NASA meets on one of the other teams was Nicole Owen. Nicole Owen is the wife of Scott Owen, who ended up being my training partner, and we met through, obviously, Nicole. But Scott is a doctor here in was in Oklahoma City. Now he lives in Alaska. Believed enough in what we were doing that he has been our number one financial contributor over the last 5 years. So, he has donated just because he believes in what we're doing. If I had more people like Scott, we would have our budget for the year, and all he does is just donate about $500 at a time, once a year or whatever. But that generally helps us get through the process of what we do throughout the year. Holy cow! Sorry, I know everybody can hear that. That's my timer going off in case I get too long-winded. So I think on one event where God put these people in my life, and I wished we had a couple hours. I'd probably bore people to death, but there's just so many parts and pieces that have been put in this. Obviously, the commitment from my wife to be able to support what we're doing, I mean, without all these parts and pieces, guys like you, Nate, and Kevin, and Quinn, and another accomplishment is all the people that have donated their time and effort. Shane Hammond's another one. Former Olympian. I've known Shane since he was 19 years old. He's been one of our speakers. I think of Tobin Jackson, the pastor over at Trinity Baptist Church in Oklahoma City. Mm-hmm. Cliff Gibson, who's the childhood friend that I told you about, is the national leadership coach. On at least half a dozen occasions over the last 5 years, he's taken his time and drove up from Dallas to do events in Oklahoma City and then drive back that same night. He's done that on his own. I think of William Knoll, who was one of our early speakers as a pastor here in Oklahoma City. Guys like Ryan Ballard, who former youth pastor at Faith Church in Hinton, who has donated his time and allowed us to come out and speak at the Fellowship of Christian Athletes a couple of years ago. I think of Dale Griffith of the minister, the dean of ministry at students at OBU, who allowed us to come out there and do a chapel service. Zach Workin, who's the student pastor at Southern Hills Baptist in Tulsa, has come over to OBU and speak. Josh Tullis, who local DJ here in Oklahoma City, who's come out and emceed our events for us. Ryan Abernathy, who obviously everybody knows from Ryan and Phillips Conversation Rules. Mm-hmm. Pastor West Metro. He's been an MC at our events and a contributor and a producer. So it's just, Bruce and Paula Jackson, their son Matthew, lifted with us on a couple of occasions. He's been with us since the very first one we did. He operated as a spotter loader and helped us out there. His mom and dad have been one of our financial contributors. I think of Mike and Linda Depew, who's a former employer of mine, who basically paid for us to have a squat rack for safety for the kids. It's almost a $3,000 power rack that we found somebody to build it for us for $500. The late Travis Beck, Dr. Travis Beck, former professor at OU, who tragically succumbed to cancer here a couple of years ago. So I look at those kind of accomplishments. Those are people that have been very heartwarming, that they donate their time and passion and believe in what we're doing.
Okay, well, let's take another break. It's almost 9 o'clock, and we'll kind of start wrapping stuff up. We'll come back and do a quick wrap-up on it. And so, all right. You've been listening to Crossover Radio. It's the OT with DB and Big Nate. We'll be right back.
Hey, guys, it's Jay Mills.
And Coach Coleman.
Hey, don't forget to check me out every Tuesday night, 7 to 9 p.m., right here on the Crossover for Freestyle.
And then I'm also live every single weekday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. on the Brunch Rush. Crossover Radio.
Radio with a purpose.
Razorback Lawn and Tree Care has you covered for all of your outdoor needs. We offer affordable landscaping, tree trimming and removal, as well as regular lawn care. Call us today at 405-202-5140 and let us help you go hog wild over your yard. Man, I tell you what, I was hanging out with Robbie Allen today, and he ran out of Grounds for Compassion coffee. Robbie, what was it like to run out of Grounds for Compassion?
That was the most humiliating experience of my life.
And Robbie, with Grounds for Compassion, we feel it's probably the best coffee in the world, wouldn't you say?
Very impressive.
You mean in the world, right?
Yes, sir.
And when other people tell you that Grounds for Compassion isn't as good as their coffee, what do you tell them?
Beg pardon?
So it sounds to me like you're going to need a little bit more Grounds for Compassion since you ran out there, Robbie.
Don't we all?
So if you want to order any Grounds for Compassion coffee, check them out at g4c.coffee. That's g4c.coffee. Hey, Robbie, shouldn't you be writing this down?
Photographic memory.
Well, that's good to know, Robbie. Hey, I tell you what, check out Grounds for Compassion. Again, that website, g4c.coffee. Grounds for Compassion, coffee with conviction.
And we're back to the OT with DB and Big Nate. I'm so used to, me waiting for my little part to do the Big Nate.
You're the host today.
That's right. That's right. I'm the hostess with the mostest.
Something like that.
So we're kind of wrapping the show up. So I wanted to get a couple more questions in here before we do.
Okay.
So where do you see Team Black Ministries, the mentorship, everything, where do you see that in the next 5 years? Where are your direction trying to go?
Well, obviously the standard text answer would be wherever God leads us, but where that is still something I'm trying, get God to reveal to me. What we've talked about from the very start, the most important to us is the one-on-one that we do with the kids every Saturday. To me, the live events they can go away if that's what God wants us to do. I think it's important that in our live events, we kind of try to inspire, try to teach and reach kids that might not be reached elsewhere. But 5 years from now, or within the next 5 years, I would love the opportunity to be able to have our own facility that we have control over, and we can be opened up in suitable time frames every day, or at least 3 or 4 days a week. Right now, we're kind of restricted to the partnership we have, and which has been absolutely fantastic. We'd like to have a building that has our name on it, that we can, people can see us, where we can maybe host some events and some powerlifting events and some live events, something big enough to accommodate that. Obviously, being able to have a budget financially. We are a 501c3 nonprofit corporation. We're registered not only with the state of Oklahoma, but with the federal government. We have a tax ID number. So we would like to be able to do that within the next 5 years. We've had opportunities to do that before that, but we were a little concerned that we'd be able to fund it for the whole year. We certainly had part of the funds to be able to start that, and we had a facility we could have fixed up, so to speak, a fixer-upper, but we just didn't feel like that we were in a position to be able to do that.
So the next couple things I want to ask. So we've got an event coming up this year. You said that this was the 5-year anniversary of Team Black.
Yep.
So there's a big event planned
Yep.
for the year. Tell us a little bit about that, and then tell everybody kind of how they can contribute to Team Black Ministries and help fund the event. And I kind of want to tie that into Crossover Radio because Crossover Radio has been great in allowing us to express what we do.
Yep.
And that's kind of how this whole show got started.
Yep, it is. And I'll let you kind of expound on that a little bit. But so 5 years ago in April, we started this thing, April of 2013. And we felt it only fitting to have an anniversary event. And what we would like to do, and what we've got planned to do, is take bits and pieces of those 5 events and try to incorporate them into one event. Mm-hmm. Our plan right now is to do a weightlifting exhibition, which we have not done in all of our events. Some of them it's just strictly music and speakers, and we've done skits and things like that. So we plan on doing a 2-man 1,000-pound deadlift exhibition.
On one bar.
On one bar. We're going to put 1,000 bars on the bar. Don't worry, we have a special bar made for it. It'll be able to accommodate the 1,000 pounds. I'm more worried about the horses than I am the bar. We hope to be successful, and we will be prepared for that. And we also have a dramatization where we base off a song called Set Me Free by Casting Crowns. And if you go on YouTube, you can see a version of that. Ours is a bit different, but it's pretty compelling. We have a commitment from local pastor and Crossover Radio host Mike Keybone as our guest speaker.
Awesome.
We may actually incorporate another guest speaker in there somewhere, depending on the time frame that we have and the availability of the person. But we've got a couple of people that's already expressed interest and want to speak at it.
Nice.
We would like to perhaps offer food for the kids that come, or anybody. We hope it to be an event for everyone that can reach. We do have a venue. We're just kind of trying to figure out what time frame to do it in the fall. We wanted to do it this fall, but just the time element. We had, obviously you heard me speak of passings of family members. We've had to deal with this. I've had to change jobs in the last 6 months, and that has kind of slowed us down a little bit. But we wanted to do it right, and we just felt like we needed more time to prepare for it. And then we'll have live music, and we don't know yet what that's going to be. We're either going to use a DJ, or we're going to have, I say live music, a DJ for our music, or we're going to have a band perform. And I've already made contacts with those, and just kind of depends on the time frame. We also want to give away T-shirts. We're going to try, if we're funded enough, to have free T-shirts for all the kids that enter, and armbands, and door prizes.
Nice.
So, yeah, it'll be exciting. It will not.
Everybody likes free stuff.
Everybody likes free stuff. We will not charge, as I said earlier, there's no admission charge. But we would like your help if we could get it. We have, some funds that have been promised, pledged to our case, our cause, over the next several months to prepare for this. But if you're interested in helping us, every dollar that you contribute is tax deductible, or 501c3 nonprofit corporation, as I mentioned earlier. You can reach me at going on our website, teamblackmentorship.com. You can do it on Facebook. You can do it through Crossover Radio, because Nate and I actually have our own Facebook page. It's OT with DB and Big Nate. Or you can reach me at danblack@teamblackmentorship.com. And I'm not hard to find. You can find me on Facebook. You can find Team Black Mentorship on Facebook, and then obviously our website. Twitter, Team Black Mentorship, or Coach Dan Black, or the OT.
Yep. Hashtag DB and Nate.
Hashtag DB and Nate.
That'll find you.
So, and we're on Instagram as well. So, ton of ways to reach us. So, we're not hard to find. So, and I know you're going to tie in Crossover, but in the process, you can also, I'm sure you're going to cover the sponsoring and all that stuff. But I'd like to give a big shout out to Jeremy Coleman, who invited us to do this, was intrigued by the mentoring aspect of what we do. I know sometimes we get off page a little bit and do sports, because that's an entertaining aspect, and Nate and I both have a passion for that, and we try to intertwine it together, so to speak. But anyway, I appreciate the platform that Crossover Radio and Jeremy has allowed us to be able to talk about what we do and express and have a passion for ministry in Christ.
Yeah, I've been given a lot of leeway. It's been nice, and it kind of started out, like you said, he contacted you, and then you spoke to me about coming on and kind of help run things for you, and so it's kind of turned out we're the number one show on Monday nights.
Yay!
So it's done well, and we appreciate everybody that was listening. But hey, Crossover Radio, like you said, is a great ministry as well, and we would love for you to donate to them. You can go to crossoverradio.org. There's ways there that you can access and contribute to the ministry here that is Crossover Radio, and that's the great thing I love about Crossover is there's more than just our show, but it's about ministry. You've got the Mike Keybone show, and you've got Ryan and Phillips Conversation Rules. You've got the Jennifer Crow show. There's all these different shows that you can go on and see the schedule for, and they're all based on ministry. Even just the people that come in and just play music for you. We've got priests, we've got guys that are just in Christian bands. We've got it all, and so it's a great way to during the week when you can't be at church to get some Christian music involved. So contribute to Crossover Radio.
Well, and you can also do that. You can if you'd like to sponsor our show, there's a format that you can do that as well.
Yes. So, if you get in contact with the station, we can get back with you, and we can give you all the information pertinent to that. You can sponsor the show, get us to come out and do a remote from your location.
There you
go. So for instance, if you sponsor the show, your name would come out every time we talk about OT with DB and Big Nate.
Yep.
So we get it out there.
I don't know if they can stand our name mentioned that many times or not. I don't know. Maybe.
Well, maybe not. But we could mention their names as many times as we could like. So if you'd like to contribute to that, you'd like to sponsor the show, we'd love to hear from you. The phone number for the station is 405-494-0234. And like I said, the website is crossoverradio.org. And you can also go to the Facebook page, Crossover Radio, and you can find information there.
There you go. I just, last thing is just giving all the glory to God. I mean, I am very fortunate. We are very fortunate to be blessed with opportunities. And just remember, when you're out in your work day, or you're out in restaurants, or you're walking down the street or whatever, some people's only Bible or Jesus will see as you. So remember that what you do sometimes sets the example. I know I've had to catch myself a couple of times when I've been out with a bunch of people that I didn't want necessarily my actions, but my body language might send a different signal. Sometimes I have to work at that. If one of the many faults I have is not letting my brain put forth too much body language, because it may have nothing to do with the situation, but it's how it's perceived. So anyway, we'd like everybody to have a great week. We thank you for tuning in to us. Thank you for supporting Crossover Radio, Team Black Mentorship, the OT with DB and
Big Nate.
And we will see you next week. Same time, same channel, 8 p.m. on Mondays. Have a good week. Thank you.
My soul is lost and what it needs is your direction. I know I've told you I do not need your protection, but I lied to you. This thing is tiring and man was not created for it. God, please retire me now.